So one of the first things you're going to need to consider if you want to write a book is what genre you need to write in. So this video is going to be all about how to pick your genre. I'm going to give you some tips and tricks on how to go about doing that and things you need to consider when you're thinking about genre. Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Tracy Mayhew, and if you've not been here before, I write contemporary romances set here in the UK and YA fantasy fiction based on myths and legends. This video marks the start of my How to Write a Book series, and lots of videos are going to take you through how to deal with character, research trips, finding your voice as a writer, all kinds of different things like that. It will lead us all the way up to nano. So hopefully you'll stick around. If that sounds good to you, you might want to consider subscribing to the channel and liking this video so that you're notified of any future videos that come up. So when you're thinking about genre, you're going to want to start thinking about what kind of content you like to consume, what books you like to read, what movies you like to watch. There's no point if you love thriller, if you like murder mystery, there's no point trying to write a sweet contemporary romance, because if you don't watch that kind of stuff or read that kind of stuff, you're not going to know what to look for, what tropes to use, what readers expect of you in that genre. So I would say first tip is to stick with what you know. My second tip is to always follow your heart. When you say that you're going to write a book, you'll get lots of advice about people, and you'll find lots of advice on the internet telling you to write to market, telling you what works in each genre, things like that. However, you've got to figure out what you want to do, because you can be given lots of advice and it doesn't work with you. For example, when I first started out on my writing career, way before I even thought about self-publishing, I was querying my first series, the Prophecies of Fate series. And in doing that, I was offered lots of advice by lots of people in the publishing industry that wanted me to change certain things in here to make it slightly different. And I just could not make that work. I tried. I really did try. The first book, The Book of Legend, went through so many drafts in the first half of that book that I got to a point where I was just like, no, I have to draw a line. This is not the story I want to tell. So when you start out, make sure that you know what you want to do and stick with that plan, because at the end of the day, it is your book. It is no one else's book. People can give you advice, and it can be well-meaning advice, but if you don't connect with that advice, and if it doesn't work for you, my personal experience is that you will never be able to make it work. So figure out what you want to do and stick with that. And my third piece of advice is to experiment with genre. If, like me, you like lots of different things, I like murder mysteries, I like small town contemporary romances, I like fantasy, epic fantasy, you name it, I've probably read it. There is no harm in experimenting. You can experiment with short stories, you can experiment with flash fiction, all that kind of stuff. It's all out there for you, and no one has to see it. If it turns out to be rubbish, like a few of mine did, there's no harm in that. It is just for you to experiment, to find your voice as an author, to find your genre. When I was young and I was trying to decide what I wanted to do, I knew I wanted to write, and I tried writing a thriller that got no more than about 3 pages because I didn't actually have any idea where it was going. I tried writing a horror story. I submitted that into an A-level assignment, and I was told it was cliche, which was fine. I enjoyed writing it, I enjoyed the story, but maybe horror was not my forte, and I accepted that. But all of those experiences have added up to me figuring out what genre I want to write in, where I'm most comfortable. And eventually I did settle on fantasy first and then romantic fiction as well. And now I love them both equally and I couldn't choose between them. But I don't think I'd have reached that point had I not experimented with other things first. And you might be one of the lucky ones and figure it out straight away. You might know straight away what you want to write. You might have a natural talent for that genre, and that's fantastic. But some of us don't know, and we need to go through that experimentation process. So yeah, don't be afraid to experiment. So that's the end of that video. So my 3 top tips for finding genre are to follow your heart, think about what types of genre you already consume, and don't be afraid to experiment. I hope this video has helped you at the start of your writing journey. I hope you've picked up something from this video, and if you like it, please don't be afraid to subscribe, hit that like button. And if you have started your writing journey and you know what genre you're writing in, don't be afraid to come into the chat and let me know. If you're just starting out on your writing journey, again, you've got some ideas of genre in mind, you need help figuring things out, don't be afraid to come into the chat. We can have a little discussion about it. In the meantime, I'm going to leave a video over here all about my tips on how to have a great writing session, so feel free to check that out. And I'll see you next week with an ARC review of a book I've been reading called A Sparrow Among Stars. But we'll be back the following week with a brand new video talking about whether to write in first or third person. So until then, I will see you later and have a great week.